I am Bilal Morris, and this is Belizean Legends. As Belizeans, we have a great history of achievement. We are fortunate to witness some magnificent athletic performances. We've been privileged to enjoy great musical concerts from extraordinary musical artists. As a nation, we have struggled politically, but also made great progress. Culturally, we continue to evolve as a society. Where were you when some of these incredible moments occurred? Belizean Legends will transcend you back into time to relive some of these spectacular events and offer some behind-the-scenes perspective on the untold stories, as well as updating you on the individual lives featured in this series.
Speaking with Glenda Ellis, one of the renowned Belize legendary, I would say, softball players who was part of the gold medal team, as well as the team, the national selection that beat the United States, the greatest softball team ever in the 1979 Pan American Games. One of the first questions I would like to ask you is, give us the play-by-play action, if you can, in the 1979 Pan American Games when you guys, or when your team won against the United States 2-1. You were seen as one of the heroine, or one of the players who hit a fabulous shot that opened up that game. Tell us about that.
Well, the funny thing about it is this. The day of that game, we were supposed to play a doubleheader, and we were supposed to play Santo Domingo in the morning and the US in the afternoon. And the Santo Domingo team said, I want you guys to be well rested so that you guys could play USA and beat the USA team. So they forfeited their game to us in the morning, and we were well rested to play the United States. Usually when we play, Dorette usually hit first, Claudette Bush usually hit second, and I usually hit third in the cleanup position. So Dorette got on by bunting, and I think Claudette advanced her to second, and then I came up and I hit the ball. The funny thing about it is this, they were so totally surprised because they look at us as the Cinderella team. That's what they used to call us whenever they see us playing. So they were in total shock when we beat them 2-1.
Give us some kind of understanding of what went into you guys training, that you were able to go out international like that and play against one of the greatest softball teams in the world and win. What kind of preparation did you guys undergo during your training in Belize?
The national team from 1979 was a very disciplined and committed team. We were very in love with the game of softball. It was something that we looked forward to. We would practice in the morning, and then after practicing in the morning, we would go to school. As soon as school was over, we come home in the evening and practice. At first, we didn't have lights at Rogers Stadium, so we practiced until dark comes. So we were committed to the game, and everyone did their part. The coaches, Mr. Lashley and Solis, made sure that we did what we needed to do, and they held us to task to make sure that what was needed was done. So everybody played an important part in making us what we are today.
I want to ask you about the local teams that you play on. Give us a brief history of those teams that you played on, where they would have local competitions or inter-district competitions in the Belize. What are some of the teams that you played on, and what was your softball life like as a teenager?
It's funny because I started playing softball at the age of 11. And at the time when I was playing for the Guinness team, and it was so happened that at the time when I was playing, my dad was coaching the Guinness team. And so I guess that's where the love of the game became even more, because my dad was there coaching, and then I was a part of the game. And so Guinness team is the only team I ever played for on the local level. I didn't play for any other team. I played second base for Guinness, and I also played second base for the national team. So that's where the love of the game came from my dad.
What was the position that you played when you played with those teams at that time? What was your favorite position, or did you play a multiple of positions?
No, I only played at second base. That's the place I started, and that's the place I finished with the national team. I didn't play any other position. But on the high school level, I used to pitch for junior high 1, and that was the only position besides second base. But that was at high school level. But when it came to the local team, second base was the only position I played for the local and the national team.
Were you a good pitcher?
Yes, I was. Yes, I was.
So you were feared in the high school arena?
Yes, I was.
Yeah.
My sister played along with me when I was at junior high 1, but they didn't love the game as much as I did.
Describe the chemistry at that time, at that specific moment when you played the United States team and was able to win 2-1. At that time, you know that the United States in 1979 have never lost a game. They had never lost a game. And there comes this little team from the third world, so-called third world, that beat them. That was their only loss at that time. Give us some kind of picture of Margaret Usher on the mound, the defense that you guys were putting on. What was the kind of connection that you all were having that moment? Were you guys nervous, or were you all just ready to play some serious ball?
We were just ready to play some serious ball because, like I said, we were well rested. Margaret was in full force. She was just nailing all the pitches in the right places. All the defense was intact. Everybody was like, okay. We were going to make sure after we scored, we were like, okay, nobody's going to make sure that any hits get away. The Rubio sisters were out in the outfield covering each other. Everybody was covering each other in the infield and in the outfield. So the defense was high, and then I guess after we scored, it was like, okay, that's it. That's it. So our confidence level went even higher, and it was like, okay, they ain't going to beat us. They're not going to beat us. So we made sure that we hold the defense tight and everything. So it was amazing.
You could have seen that when you guys play at the Garden, the famous MCC Garden. You could see that chemistry in that team, a kind of chemistry that you don't see today with players today. The kind of connection that you guys were having. I can remember watching those games and can hear you guys talking to each other while you are out there on the outskirts, you know, communicating with your coaches. What role do those coaches play? Coaches like Raymond Lashley, most of all, and Solis, and all those coaches that came along with you guys to those international events. What role did they play at that specific moment in that game?
The thing about it is we had a lot of respect for Mr. Lashley and Mr. Solis, and so that transpired onto the field because, like the younger generation, I went back home and I looked at a couple of the games and they have no respect for the coach. So it seems like the coach can't tell them anything. So that stunt they're learning because their mind is not open to the other things that could happen while playing the game. While our mind was more open and our minds were like sponges, so we always wanted to learn something better in order to improve ourselves and improve the aspect of the game that we were playing. So Mr. Lashley and Solis had an important part in forming that, in making us better players than we would normally have been. They stretched us to the limit to make sure that we could be all that we wanted to be while we were on the softball field and in life.
The role that your family and the Belizean people played in supporting you guys in an international event like that. And when you all played the Central American and Caribbean games, what role and how did family and friends and the Belizean people on a whole help you guys develop that sense of confidence?
They were always there in force to support us. Whenever there was any fundraiser, they came out and supported their team because you know, Belize is a small country. We can't afford to go to the places that we would want to go. But with the community involved and your family involved, it was able for us to go to a lot of places that we would normally have been able to go. Because like when we were getting ready to go to play the under 20 game in Mexico City that we won the gold medal for, we had a big fundraiser in order to raise the money to go to Mexico in order to play this game. And so when we came back with the gold medal, it was like sweet reward for all the people that have invested their time and money in us, for us to go to these places. So it felt good in order to say, okay, what you guys did as a family and as a community was well appreciated and was well received. As I looked at them coming off the plane, it was like a sense of pride that I felt from my little Belizean team that have went that far and came back home bringing a gold medal, surprising all the other teams probably in Central America. So it was a great accomplishment for them as a team, and I was like, okay, if they can do it, then we could do it. And that's why I was like, okay, so when we played in the Central American and Caribbean games, it's like, okay, we have something to live up to. We have a standard and a goal that has been set that we need to reach also, even though we were a younger team.
Describe one of the Central American and Caribbean games that you played in. Describe one of those games. What was it like? Because we know we had Jamaica, Bermuda, the Bahamas. We even have Salvador and Guatemala, and I remember you all whipping most of those teams.
Yes, and it's so crazy because, like I said, Belize, we don't have the equipment and all the stuff that these other teams have, and so even though we don't have that, we still produce a very high caliber team, and that's why a lot of people is amazed because suppose we had all the stuff and equipment that they had available to them, then I think the team would have been even better. But playing in the Central American and Caribbean games, I remember playing against Puerto Rico, and like I said, Margaret Usher is phenomenal. That's the only picture that they see most of the time, so they would say, you guys sure Margaret arm is going to hold up for all these games that you guys are playing? And if you look at Margaret, she's lopsided because the right side is bigger than the left side from all the use of her arm. But she carried that team every time we go and in all the games that we played. And so like I said, it was a lifetime commitment for her, and since she had that kind of commitment, then the other people that was on the team just kind of raise her up and stand behind her firmly also and say, okay, if she can do it, then we're going to make sure that it's worth the while and it's worth the time.